Hello and welcome. Today I'm in the Tier 5 German destroyer, the T-22, and I'm using these modules and commander skills. And as you can see, I have a much stronger captain than normal. However, I am stuck. As you can see, my hull isn't upgraded and all that stuff. My captain came from the fact that I tested the ships. So it's a match on the map Ring, and I started sailing towards the enemy team because that's what people do in low tiers. It's a standard battle, unfortunately. Oh, and there is another T-22 that essentially came directly towards me, and as you can see, he has 11,000 HP, so he has an upgraded hull. So when you make first contact as a destroyer, one of my main recommendations is to essentially try to avoid as much damage as you can, because in an early destroyer confrontation, it's not the most important thing isn't about the destroyers fighting each other. It's rather the fact that the destroyers spot one another for their teams behind them. Because if you look at the minimap, you'll see that behind that T-22 there's a Kirov, Karlsruhe, Kongo, another Kirov I think, and another Karlsruhe, and all of them could potentially fire at me if I had stayed to fight against that T-22. That's why I used the smoke screen. So one thing is really interesting on the T-22, by the way, and that is her turret rotation. They rotate 360 degrees. That is, if the shortest path is turning towards the ship, then they will simply lift the barrels of the guns up and then turn that way, which means that the ship has much shorter turret traverse, even though her turrets don't necessarily turn incredibly fast, which is really nice. Also, thank you very much for the donation, IB Unreal. So right now, because it's a standard battle, what's most important, especially because it's low tier, is to try to survive for as long as possible. So I got spotted by the planes. I have anti-air up, mostly because they would be spotting me normally anyway, and since the T-22 has at least some anti-air, I might as well fire with it. The planes are hitting the Wyoming, and meanwhile I'll try hitting the I don't know the names of the French cruisers. I'll just call her the Emily. I'll just try hitting Emily. That sounds wrong. Okay, oh, I even got Citadel at this kind of range, 8 kilometers, by a T-22. That's good enough, but I don't think I will be getting many Citadels here, although my lead isn't very good. So the shell speed on these kinds of guns isn't the greatest. However, compared to, you know, like Japanese destroyers at this tier, I would say that they are pretty good. Now, the T-22 overall, I don't like that ship. I find her to be really lacking, because she is a slow destroyer. Her torpedoes aren't like excellent, her guns aren't excellent. She has the weak German destroyer smoke, and she doesn't get Hydro either. So that's why I essentially don't like the T-22 very much. Oh, and she only has 4 guns. However, one thing is slightly different on her than what you would get on the other destroyers at this tier. That is, she has usable torpedoes. Her guns are also usable. So that's something you don't get on the other ones. Usually you get either your guns being good or your torpedoes being good. Now, I would say that being specialized in that kind of sense is a better idea, though, than what the T-22 has. Unfortunately, I guess the T-22 will stay as she is. Oh, and this is also the first tier where you don't have your frontal launch torpedoes, so people will have to readjust to that as well. Which is probably why pretty much nobody likes this ship. Okay, so our Bogue is in a bad position. The enemy team is pushing from the northern side. I tell my Bogue that it needs to run really quickly, and I say it line by line because I want to make sure that this Bogue understands it, because if that Bogue does not move, I think it might even be too late even right now, because the enemy team is pushing there, and unfortunately our team is pushing their team, and I don't see what we could potentially do. Oh yeah, the Kirov has spotted the Bogue, so the Bogue is dead. Goodbye, Bogue. Wait, actually the Bogue doesn't have any planes on the field. Maybe the Bogue has been AFK the entire game. Well, that would explain a few things, I suppose. Anyways, Torps are on the Kirov. I'm gonna just stop and smoke here and open fire, because right now I do have something spotting for me, which is the Bogue. But if the Bogue eventually dies, I might not have any spotting anymore because there are no other ships around me. The only, or the, not only, the biggest issue with this ship is that her smoke is just really short, or I guess this is not a T-22 issue, this is German destroyers in general. And well, there goes the bug, which also means the spotting is gone. Which is, I guess, is okay, because the smoke doesn't last for a really long time. But they have a König, Kira, Congo, and a T-22 here as well. And I'm the only ship around here, which probably means I won't be able to hold them off. So I really need to hope that my team at least tries to come back a little bit. But my smoke is dissipating soon, so I might as well just leave it and torpedo one of the battleships or cruisers, I guess. Oh, that Congo came around, I think. I am thinking a little bit about torping the König though. But maybe, I think the island might be in the way. Or might get in the way. Yeah, screw it, let's torp the Congo instead. Okay, so I'm gonna torp, I'm gonna torp basically on the indicator and then slightly behind, because obviously the best reaction towards torpedoes is to turn into them, which means when you start turning, you go slightly slower. Right, so torping at the indicator plus slightly behind means that if they dodge the indicated ones, they start turning in and slowing down, so the other one has a higher chance of hitting. And meanwhile, I'll try to put more distance between us. Oh, and there's a Königsberg that actually came back, and the baguette number 4. So basically, people don't know how to say the French cruiser names. Oh! Oh wow, never mind. That Congo reacted like nothing at all. She just didn't care. She just sailed in a straight line even after the torps came. Well, that was a failure. I guess I will have to aim better next time, and expect the Congo not to avoid it. So, the thing with the French cruisers is that people don't know how to pronounce the names, so what they do is they call them baguette number 1 through number 10. Except, you can always say Henry for the Henry. Unfortunately, the Königsberg went down, so I'm gonna torp the Congo again. This time I won't make the mistake of expecting the Congo to react in some way, so it's gonna be exactly on the indicator. And I'll try hitting this T-22, because if I can deal enough damage to her, maybe she will back off. Now I am firing AP here, which I think is actually a bit of a mistake. I think as a T-22 you would want to fire HE at another destroyer. I'm just thinking of the higher tier destroyers where it's more appropriate to do this. So he's slowing down, so he's probably gonna smoke. Yep, he's smoking. I did get some hits off, but oh well. Oh, and the torps are exactly on point on the Congo, although maybe I should have led slightly less this time. I don't know what he's thinking, but I should be able to pick her off with my guns. I need one fire, and if I get that, then the Congo is... Yep, goodbye Congo. That Congo is definitively dead, but unfortunately the enemy team is now inside our cap zone. And our team is only having a little cluster near their cap, but they are not inside it, so I think I will have to do a suicidal charge into the cap zone to try to decap them as much as possible. Now I do torp the smoke, in case maybe the T-22 gets hit by it, but I am gonna just run out of this. Oh boy. Ah, this was what I was afraid of. There was a Kirov here, and because she doesn't appear to be moving quickly, I quickly changed my aim onto the ship. Okay, the T-22 moved, so I will open fire on her because I would like to pick her off, because that's the hardest ship that for our team to kill. And we basically need our team to try to get as many decaps as possible, and then try to cap their base. You see, our Congo is already going to cap, and they also have Kuma and probably a Murmansk backing up, and hopefully the Königsberg as well. So there is a König coming back. I mean, I did defend the cap zone quite a bit. I got 3 cap defenses, and I did decap the least visible target. Now, it would be really nice if we had a carrier right now, but unfortunately we do not. However, we are inside the cap zone, so we should have a chance of actually defending. Now, the unfortunate thing is that I was really hoping that my teammates would actually try to defend a little bit better than what they did. However, we should have the possibility to decap them slightly more. I mean, they have a Kirov and König in the cap zone. If the König that is going back to defend can hit the König or the Kirov, like then we should be able to fully decap, because the T-22 left the cap zone for a moment, so that means that she wasn't capping for quite a while, so she hasn't been racking up the capping points. And if our team keeps capping, this should be an easy victory. I mean, we have already 2 ships in the cap zone, we'll get the 3rd one in a moment. Although there is a carrier incoming. But the König should be able to deal with at least the Kirov. Oh, and the T-22 is visible there. So maybe the König can even deal with the T-22. That would make it excellent. This is pretty close. I actually like this König because he is actually trying to defend, which is good. I do hope that he tries to take out the T-22 at this moment, because if the T-22 runs away to the edge of the cap zone, it'll be very difficult for the König to try to defend. Okay, very good. The König finished off the T-22 and avoided the torpedoes, so I guess he deserves a compliment. So now there's a König plus a Kirov left in the cap zone. Oh, the other Kirov actually came out, so the other Kirov isn't nearly as important. Because if he can decap this, that is hit the Kirov, and then the König again, we should be able to... Oh my god, I just looked at the minimap. Look at what my team is doing. The Murmansk that was inside the cap zone capping and all that stuff sailed out of it, and the Königsberg did the same. Only the Kuma is left inside the cap zone. So the König that went back to defend took out the Kirov. Now he needs to do 1 shot on the König, and that will give the maximum amount of time. Oh, never mind. I guess the enemy König finished her off, and so basically the enemy team is at half point capping on us. Our team, we had a Murmansk inside their cap zone that was capping. We had a Kuma inside it capping. And we had a Königsberg close by, and they could have tried to cap this. However, 2 of them were inside the cap zone and sailed out of it, while the 3rd one just didn't care. And I could understand if the Kuma was maybe sailing back towards our cap zone to try to decap as hard as possible or something. But she isn't. They are just rushing this Ishizuchi for some reason, instead of thinking about taking the cap zone. I mean, sure. Great, you killed the Ishizuchi, now what? Now you have 3 ships over here, the enemy team is three quarters through capping already, and you have no way to go back to defend. What are you gonna do now? You just lost the game, guys. You just completely lost the game. And you know what's kinda ironic about this game? The ironic thing about this game is that I had this game exactly on the day where I posted the Weekend Warriors video, where I said that you should consider it as an opportunity. And then instant karma that same very day in this match, because it was a weekend. And these guys just didn't care about capping. Of course you have to consider the fact that this is a low tier match. Like, people can get to tier 5 on like their 1st or 2nd day of playing the game, so they don't necessarily have to understand how the game works, but there it is. All that defending by me in a tier 5 subpar destroyer, and it still wasn't enough. I did deal 89,000 damage though. And I mean, I was number 1 in experience. In fact, I would be number 5 on the enemy team. And if we had won, I would have been ahead of everybody. Oh well. This was just terrible. My team let me down really, really hard. That König was great though. Here's the damage. Most of it was from torpedo damage. Most of it was from the torpedoes, and that's kind of what I meant that while the ship does have decent torpedoes and decent guns, I think the ship focused more on better guns or better torpedoes would be better. Well, experience and credits are appropriate for tier 5. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then like it, and I would like to thank the patrons and Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, Palado, and I hope I see you guys next time.